Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another tier list. This is a tier list on Wizardry. So, for all you fellow wizards out there, if you're looking for whatever the best school of magic is, or if you're trying to get into Wizardry and you don't know what to do, here is a good summary of what I personally believe to be the best wizard schools to pursue for various reasons. So without further ado, let's get started. Also, there are a lot of schools of wizardry, so some of them have been left off, like some of the minor ones, like hydromancy I didn't put on here, but there's some. These are the most popular ones. First, we have abjuration, right here. In case you don't know what abjuration is, it's like protection in a sense, like classic like shields, all that sort of stuff. Those like I've never like got much into it. It's pretty solid though. I mean, the classic thing is that you can put a surface under yourself and then like fly around, and that's pretty cool. Um, I think I have to. I think I'll probably put in the B tier. It's pretty okay. Like it's very okay in the sense that it's not as practical as some of the better ones, but at the same time, um, it's definitely a solid one. I wouldn't make this your like main school, but it's definitely good to pick up a few abjuration spells here and there, just so it's good for an emergency. So I'll leave it in the B tier. Next up, we have this, which is alchemy and brewing. I lump them together. Some people think that's like a grace against Athathoth, the Unrisen, but personally, I'm like, I don't see the difference. They're the same thing. This easily is an S tier. Potions are the shit. Not just for getting high, like I use them for, but also like you can become unstoppable with potions. Mana potion addiction is a real thing and it claims many lives, but it is like the rawest form of magic. You become one with the weave if you drink those. And you need to spec into brewing in order to do that. Brewing is easily the best. Actually, I don't think it's the best. We'll get to what I think the best one is later. But it's definitely very, 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 very powerful. A lot of wizards have this as their primary school, and almost every single wizard knows at least a little bit of brewing and alchemy. It is something that you need to pick up. It is an essential. It is absolutely essential. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, next is, I believe this is chronomancy. Um, this one has complicated feelings because on one hand, it's one of the most powerful if done well, but also it's a little difficult to perform because chronomancy has a lot of issues in terms of accessibility. Um, because it's hard to get into. That's definitely one thing. Because chronomancy spells are very powerful. Good old time stop, reversal, Thermilius's wicked rewind, other stuff like that. But I don't know. So those things that this is one of the magics that I have never used because it's just the learning process is really steep, and if you're trying to, the utility is definitely good though, but there's just so little that it can really do other than speed up, slow down, stop time, reverse it, all that stuff. But even so, it's very mana intensive, and you're gonna run out of your own juice really quick if you keep using this stuff, making it not really applicable for household uses. So I think I'm gonna stick it in the C tier. Next is conjuration. I believe this to be the best school. Conjuration is just so damn good. This is my primary school, in case you don't know. Um, if this is amazing as a primary school, a secondary school, even just have a little bit of it. Um, there's just there's infinite uses for conjuration. Um, you can conjure a block of concrete above your opponent's head, known as Krimgan's Cursed Concrete. That's a funny spell. I use it all the time in duels. But beyond that, you can also create money out of thin air. You can create water, food. You can conjure even a whole house if you wanted to. You can just live in a conjuration hold. I think that's what they call them nowadays. I don't know. I'm not really in touch with the conjuration community. I kind of just I'm a little more reclusive than your average wizard. But conjuration is the shit, literally, because you can conjure shit with it. Anyways, next is cryomancy, which I'm gonna put it in the D tier, because yeah, it's cool. literally. But also at the same time, it's just very limited because it's essentially it's just a worse form of evocation, which kind of sucks because if you want to spec really hard into cryomancy, you might as well just pick up all the evocation spells. Because there's not a lot that like cryomancy will give you that like lithomancy won't get you, or conjuration won't get you, or even abjuration won't get you. It's kind of just the default. It's kind of just like a material to use. Ice is anyway. Ice is very inferior to stone because, I mean, of course, you encase someone in ice, you're going to freeze to death, but if you encase someone in stone, they're still going to die. Um, Ice is a lot more brittle than stone. You can't really make a house out of ice, it'll melt. You can freeze people, which is cool, but you can also burn them to death. So, it's just not very good. That's why it's in the D tier. Next is divination, which this is a complicated one because the main use for this is to fortune telling, but also you can. It's kind of like having one of those like Google Homes or whatever the newfangled millennials use, but in your brain, and it always knows the answers. And my favorite thing about this was when I found uh Deanna Thor, the wretched. He challenged me to a duel, and he's an evocation wizard, and I completely destroyed him because I divined every single spell he was going to use and prepared perfect counters. So I'm gonna put it in the A tier for divination. Next is nature magic or druidry or whatever. I'm not a hippie. This one is going in the C, above that though, actually below, because it's just not as powerful or practical. The main use for it is growing that kush and smoking it. Which moving on. Next is enchantment, which definitely gets a high B above abjuration. Enchantment's held back by the fact that you need a vessel for your enchantment to apply, if that makes any sense. So if you've never gotten into enchantment, I'm a little bit into enchantment, but not a whole lot. I found it more limited than I thought it was originally going to be, because, for example, if I want to enchant, say, like, if I want to use enchantment to kill someone, I have to get a physical object, which I have to. Luckily, I'm a conjuration wizard, so it's easier for me because I can just conjuration and enchantment work really well together. If you're gonna have conjuration, then enchantment's like up here, but if you don't, it's like here, because you have to actually obtain the materials you're gonna use to enchant with. And plus, enchantment, if you ask me, is it's just kind of like a worse version of brewing. Because brewing can give you all the same results, and enchantment is more permanent, but brewing is a lot more flexible, and there's a lot more you can do with it. So I think enchantment's kind of chill in the B tier for now. Next, I believe, is evocation. Evocation is A tier because it's kind of like the wizardry. This is the most popular one because it's the classic elemental magic, blowing shit up, killing people. Every wizard starts in evocation. Like, that's just how it is. I started my, classic, the first spell you learn is magic missile. That's evocation, blowing people up and all that good stuff. So, yeah, you know how it is. Gotta put in the A tier, gotta respect the classics. Next is, I believe this is holy magic. This is a bit of a complicated one, but the short answer is that it's going in the C tier because it's very good. You've got the healing, you've got the smiting, you've got the praying, but on the other hand, you can't really be a wicked wizard and run this. You can't really spec into it. It's sort of like, it's not really even a wizardry, even, if that makes any sense. It's more of like a cleric kind of thing, because yes, you can go holy magic as a wizard. However, it's more exclusive. You're very much more restricted if you go into holy magic, and even though it is potent, it's kind of just a worse version of a different kind of magic we'll get to later. So yeah, C tier for the holy magic. Next, this is illusion, I believe. This is the most hotly debated school of magic of all the wizardry community. Some claim, there's a classic like when my opponent when I challenge an illusionist wizard to a duel, knowing damn well his magic cannot cause me any harm, and then the illusionist wizard says, "Well, I know it can't cause you any harm, but I just illusioned a floor under you, and now you are dead," or something like that. Or there's the classic like thing with illusion where you trap someone in a delusion for their whole life and they think that they've won, but they really haven't, and you steal everything out of their house. Um, for me though, I think illusion is very middle of the road. I think it's very middle of the road. I don't think it's because it's not. It's on one hand, the anti-illusionists do have a point that illusion magic cannot cause any real harm by itself. Um, but they're wrong if they think it sucks because a lot of what the harm it can cause results from the illusion magic. Like, for example, if I illusioned a floor under you and it's a fake floor and you step in it and you fall to your death. I mean, technically the illusion didn't hurt you, but its existence led to your demise. Um, so so yeah, that's just like, but at the same time, the pro illusionists who say it's amazing, like at the end of the day, you're still just making illusions. Um, and of course, the real question is like, of course, if you give an illusionist prep time, it's like giving a divination wizard prep time. You're not gonna win. Um, but if you just say 3, 2, 1, go, all of a sudden the illusionist is always going to lose because illusion spells typically have a longer casting time than something like evocation. So while it is very good, um, like I said, it just at the end of the day, you're still doing something that is technically nothing but mess with other people's senses, and it's also the most vulnerable to dispel magic that there is. Um, but if you want to know the real secret, is if you pair illusion with divination, and also conjuration, you become a nasty ass wizard. I regret not going further into divination illusion. I mainly just stuck with, I just really did conjuration and transmutation. That's what I specialize in. But if you wanted to go divination, illusion, and conjuration, you become the nastiest wizard around. You people wouldn't know what's real and what's fake, and you'd be able to read their mind. Oh, it's so cool. But enough talking about conjuration. That's it's not the last time I'll mention it because it's the best school ever. But it's all B for the illusion. Next we have lithomancy. Um, it has to be worse than evocation because evocation kind of encompasses lithomancy. Um, I still think it's solid though. I don't think it's as good as illusion. Um, it's also just flat out worse than conjuration if you think about it, because conjuration you can conjure anything. With lithomancy, you kind of have to. You can either, I know there's conjure earth, but there's also move earth and manipulate earth and all things like that. Um, but it's just one of those things where it seems more useful than it is because it's very closed ended. For example, if I were to do evocation, I can burn, shock, freeze, all that stuff. I can, if I'm brewing, I can brew potions of raw mana. I can brew um, I can brew high quality, potions of haste, all that good stuff. If I'm doing lithomancy, really all I can do is move rocks around. And while that can be very powerful, and at high levels, you can do things like instantly kill whole villages. You can collapse other people's wizard towers, which is really funny. It just gets kind of outclassed, which is tragic. Next is necromancy. This is, in my own wicked opinion, this is just straight up better than, this is the thing that outclassed holy magic. There's the classic like saying in the wizard community that at the lowest level, apprentices say that necromancy and holy magic are basically the same thing, but all the regular wizards say no, that's not true. You're stupid. But all the very practiced and seasoned wizards like myself are like, yeah, it's the same thing, but necromancy's better because like everything holy magic can do, necromancy can do, but better. Revive the dead, yep, this one does it, and it's more flexible. Healing wounds, yep, this one can do it, and it's more flexible. Killing people, yep, this one can definitely do it, and it's way more flexible. In addition, you're not restricted by the general tenets of holy magic. You don't have to follow a religious order. You don't have to worship a higher being. You can kind of just do whatever you want. The main issue with necromancy is it's frowned upon by many people because they think it's like against like the good grace of the Lord above. Personally, I don't care, but I have gotten one time someone did call me the biggest shame of the Wizard Council for using necromancy because I was tired and I didn't want to deliver my potions on time. So I just raised some skeletons to do it, but apparently they didn't like that. Personally, I think that's weird, but you know, what are you gonna do? Next is pyromancy. This is kind of like cryomancy in that it's just worse than evocation, but I don't think it's that bad. It's definitely above it. I definitely would still put it in the D though, because it's another one of those things where, and these like very specific, like lithomancy, cryomancy, pyromancy are all limited by the fact that they are very restricted in what they can do. They're very closed ended. Like what you see is what you get. With pyromancy, you can control fire. Cryomancy control ice. Lithomancy control earth. Earth is much better than the other two because it's just better. But for example, if I was a divination wizard, I can do, of course, do the classic divination thing like tell the future, read minds, all that stuff. Or I can do a bunch of other things too. I can combine it with other schools if I want to, but you can't really do that with these like kind of elemental spells and elemental magic. Of course, evocation is A tier because of its sheer versatility and that it covers a lot of those things, even if it's relatively shallow in its functionality. But that's a good summary of why these two are bad, and this one is very mid. This one shares Lithomancy shares the same problems these do, but it's boosted up by the fact that rock itself and earth itself is a very powerful tool to manipulate, as opposed to fire and ice, which are just kind of whatever. Next is transmutation. This one is kind of in a weird spot because on one hand, it goes hand in hand with conjuration. I'm pretty good at transmutation myself. It goes hand in hand with conjuration, but on the other hand, it kind of has the same problem enchantment does, where you require a source. Without conjuration, this is terrible. But with conjuration, you can do some really neat stuff. Um, However, it's just kind of it's one of those things where like, why would I turn something into something else so I can just conjure it or blow it up, you know? So I think I'm going to put it in the C tier. Next is this one's unique. I think this is it's not really a school of magic. I think it's war. It's a warlock essentially, which isn't really a school of magic, but it's definitely a magic. If you don't know about it, it's essentially getting your magic from because you obtain it from a patron. Um, this one's a little hard to pin down because it's one of those things where it kind of depends on the patron. For example, with like tier and something, that can be very good, but with like the great old one, that's sort of like you're kind of treading on thin ice there. Um, Personally, I kind of look down on warlockism because it's just you want to be a wizard, but you don't want to put any of the effort in. So you just get someone else to be a wizard for you, and then you get to use all their wizard powers. That's lame. So I'm gonna put warlock in the D tier. All right. Thank you all for listening in on my wizardry tier list. Um, Glad that this could help you out for all you fellow wizards out there. Bye bye.